Hello, I'm Dr. Shagufta. Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic, spondylosis. What is spondylosis? What are the signs and symptoms? Is this treatable? And what are the treatment options available? Can we treat this problem naturally? Well, let's find out. Watch the entire video. Do like, share and subscribe and give a thumbs up. Spondylosis is a nearly universal condition in those who reach advanced age, but it can also affect younger people. While some people experience no symptoms, others may feel stiffness and or pain in the neck, shoulders or between the shoulder blades. Spondylosis is another word for osteoarthritis of the spine. It is a condition that usually develops with age and is the result of normal wear and tear on both the soft structures and bones that make up the spine. Although any part of the spine may be affected, spondylosis is more frequently seen in spine's highest and lowest sections. That is the cervical, that is the neck, and the lumbar, that is the low back areas respectively. The condition is less commonly found in the thoracic spine, that is the middle portion, possibly because the rib cage serves to stabilize this area and make it less subject to the effects of wear and tear over time. People with spondylosis may or may not experience pain or indeed any symptoms at all. Those who have no symptoms may become aware of the condition only when they are being assessed for another medical issue that calls for imaging of the spine with an X-ray, MRI or CT scan. When symptoms are present, they vary depending on the area where the condition develops and the structures that are affected, but they can include pain or limited range of motion. Individuals with spondylosis who are otherwise without pain may experience crepitus, which is a feeling or sound of crunching in the spine along with a limited range of motion. This usually is not concerning for nerve or spinal cord damage. Neck pain and or stiffness are the common symptoms. In case where the spondylotic changes to the spine put pressure on the adjacent nerves, patient may experience pain, numbness or tingling that extends down the arm with or without symptoms in the neck itself. This type of nerve pain, which results from compression or inflammation of the nerve in the cervical spine, is known as cervical radiculopathy. Severe cases may also cause compression of the spinal cord, which may manifest as weakness or impaired motor function in the arms or hands or other symptoms, and the condition is called cervical myelopathy. Low back pain, leg pain, and or other signs of nerve compression are the most common symptoms. Pain or tingling symptoms that extend outward to the hip or down the leg can result from compression or inflammation of the nerves, a condition referred to as lumbar radiculopathy. For example, a person may have pain in the knee and think it is injured, but later you can find out that this pain is caused by spondylosis, that is the compressing of the nerve which extends down to the knee. Irritation of the sciatic nerve in particular is quite common and it is commonly known as sciatica. Because spondylosis can affect people in many different ways, there is no single answer to this question. Many cases of spondylosis are effectively treated with physical therapy and pain relief measures. However, orthopedists advise seeking more immediate care if the following symptoms, which are associated with pressure on the nerves, are present, like weakness, including foot drop, which is the difficulty lifting the toes and forefoot off the floor, bladder or bowel dysfunction, especially incontinence, changes in balance that cannot be attributed to other factors, numbness either in a stripe-like pattern or involving the fingers, severe pain, especially electrical or shock-like pain, pain in the arms and or legs that has not responded after attempting other non-surgical measures like physical therapy, oral pain medications, and or spinal injections. Spondylosis is likely to affect most people to some degree as they age, as it is the natural result of years of the spine being subject to the forces of gravity. There may be genetic component, which is an inherited tendency to develop the condition, but research has not clearly established this link. An association between traumatic injury to the spine and the development of the spondylosis later in life has been established. Although the names sound similar, spondylolisthesis is a condition in which one of the vertebrae, that is the bones that make up the spine, has moved out of the place, usually in a forward direction. While this is a distinct diagnosis, spondylolisthesis may occur as a result of spondylosis, which can cause other structures of the spine move out of their normal position. Other conditions that may result from spondylosis include spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal canal, degenerative scoliosis, which is a sideways curvature of the spine due to osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease, which is the wear and tear of the disc space. The diagnosis of spondylosis is based primarily on information seen on the images of the spine. Changes to the bone are most clearly seen on X-ray, while changes to the soft structures, including the discs that act as cushions between the vertebrae, are more clearly seen on MRI or CT scans. Abnormalities that may be detected include bone spurs, which are the small growths of extra bone or bulging or herniated discs. Both of these findings can cause narrowing in the spinal canal and put pressure on the adjacent nerves. It is important to note that wear and tear on the spine may show up on imaging tests without the individual experiencing any pain or discomfort. To better understand the impact spondylosis may be having on a patient, the orthopedist may order X-ray to look at the skeleton in motion, for example, when the spine and neck bend forward or backward. Generally involve addressing the area of the spine that is pressing on a nerve. Some examples of minimally invasive surgical treatment for spondylosis include removal of the bone spur in the cervical spondylosis, placement of spacers to recreate space lost by disc wear, allowing the nerves to be free of compression, removal of soft tissue that can become thickened in spondylosis that press on the nerves. In some cases, the patient with spondylosis will require more extensive surgery to remove a portion of the spine that is causing pain, and a fusion of the vertebrae, that is the surgery that stabilizes the bone. Anterior cervical discectomy with fusion ACDF surgery is one such procedure in the neck. For low back pain and other problems associated with lumbar spondylosis, a lumbar laminectomy with or without fusion or various other types of lumbar fusion surgery may be appropriate. Recovery time varies depending on the nature of the surgery, with minimally invasive procedures permitting a more rapid return to daily activities. Many patients will complete a course of physical therapy beginning at 6 weeks after their operation. Keeping the supporting muscles flexible and strong and maintaining a healthy weight are the best way to prevent further problems in the spine. Patients are also advised to assess and adjust ergonomic conditions that may have exacerbated their pain, for example, raising a computer monitor to eye level to eliminate the tendency to hunch forward while doing office work. There is no evidence at this time that any particular diet or supplement will help with spondylosis. It is always a good idea to follow a healthy diet and to use supplements with caution, as these products are not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration (FDA). I have a best natural treatment option for you guys who are suffering with spondylosis. Hijama cupping therapy. Yes, this is the best treatment option available because we have treated n number of patients coming to us with these problems, suffering, and they are unable to lift their arms, have problems in their neck and back. And we have treated them successfully, and now we have a lot of satisfied, happy patients who can get back to their normal lives. And also patients who are suffering with sciatica, hijama or cupping therapy is the best option. Hijama is the word used for cupping therapy. So hijama and cupping therapy do mean the same. One is the Arabic word and one is the English word. So give a try for hijama and cupping therapy. I'm sure you're definitely going to see a lot of changes. So that's it for this video. And stay happy and stay safe. Until my next video. Bye-bye.